This is the webinar selling a home during coronavirus. And my name is Gerardo Zavala. I'm a local realtor at Luna Realty Group. I am based here in Berwyn. I've been working in real estate for about 5 years. Previous to that, I worked at the City of Berwyn in economic development and Chamber of Commerce, and I had a great time there. It was awesome. But I also love what I do now, and that's a little bit about myself, and we'll dive in. As we all know, there's been a lot of changes, and a lot of changes with coronavirus, and there's definitely going to be changes ahead in the way that we do and conduct business. So this is exactly what the webinar here is for, and we've all known and hear it throughout day in and day out through the media, through social media. We're in a pandemic, the coronavirus, COVID-19. So our mission here is, even though there is still there's an ongoing pandemic, buyers are definitely hot, and they are still buying. So buyers are hot, and with that comes the spring and summer market. And typically in the spring and summer market, we get an influx of consumers. So this is a great opportunity if you're on the fence to list your property. It's a great opportunity to get some tips, especially from this webinar. So the main 3 takeaways that I want you to take is attract buyers and get offers now. So that's going to be the most important one. The second takeaway is, we got to change. That was the first slide. So we have to adjust, and virtual marketing is going to be a way to adjust from that change, especially giving consumers the confidence. And then number 3, I think number 3 is very important. This is number 1 and number 2 is basically a recap for myself. Been a realtor for, I said, 5 years. So I've been doing number 1, doing number 2, and helping my clients. But number 3 was a little bit different. This took a little bit of planning, and most important, it's tips on how to keep you safe during showings, how to keep your home safe, how to keep buyers safe, and especially the agents. So let's dive in. Number 1 is definitely attract buyers and to get offers. That is the name of the game, especially for sellers. And I have a process for that. It's a pre-listing process. The best marketing out there is definitely going to be pricing, making sure you price the property right. And I'll dig in, tell you a little bit more why that's important. Second bullet point is in best condition possible. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. And then third bullet point that we'll definitely dive in and talk a little bit more is deep cleaning the home. Not only is a home going to be presentable, but especially now during coronavirus, that is enormous amount of importance. And also depersonalizing. Often, I do showings. I do see some homes that might have picture frames, family portraits. They kind of don't look like they're ready to move, and that could put a halt on the sale, especially towards motivated buyers. So as mentioned, price is the best marketing that you can do. This is one of the greatest takeaways. Price is the best marketing. And in this price pyramid, we can see the relationship of an asking price in terms to fair market value compared to how many people are actually going to look at the property. So as we see, fair market value equals to about 60%. And if you start going up, pricing it up, sometimes I hear a lot of sellers say, well, we want to pad up the property. maybe about, you know, $5, $10, $15,000. Well, I tell my clients, you know, you're in control. I'm in control of the process. You're in control of the decision making. My recommendation is always to set the price at a fair market value so you get the most exposure. You're not selling yourself short. So you're not going, you know, 5, 10 under to get more exposure. You're at a nice level ground versus being too high in price. What I call is kind of like spraying and praying, where you're only praying for that one seller. It actually puts you in a burden because at that point they have leverage, and I always want to make sure that my sellers are the ones that have the leverage. So that's going to be very important why to place the property at fair market value. That is going to be the best marketing. Second thing is, you know, getting the property in the best condition possible. So one analogy that I do have is a used car. I remember I had an older Honda, and you know, it was not in the best condition, but I decided that after, I think, close to 220,000 miles, I sold it. But prior to that, prior to putting the Honda on the market, and if you've ever sold a car before, the first things that you do is I got to clean it. So this is a good before and after of what the car used to look like and what it looks like once I sold the car, placed it on Craigslist, shared it on Facebook. And this goes very true for your property. So a deep clean and depersonalization is very, very important. As you could see within these two photos, we have one where it's not bad, but it is a little cluttered. I usually like to say to my clients, depersonalize, get everything, you know, family photos, anything on the counter, get that out, put that in a drawer, put that in a closet, keep it clean. Clean makes things look good, makes it presentable. Excuse me. It's going to be, you know, photos are going to be online, so you know, it's going to be public, and why not make it presentable? So this is a before and after of a good shot where it was, you know, a little bit of clutter, and to the right, declutterized. So another set of slides going over is know how to adjust to virtual marketing. And with virtual marketing, we're talking about multimedia. We're talking about photos, so professional photos. We're talking about walkthrough video, 3D, Matterport, virtual staging, and floor plans. Those are an essential kit when I do my listings. And like I've said in the beginning, this is something that I've done throughout. As of now, in today's current state, this is very important because there are properties that are not showing. And if, you know, if you want to list your property and maybe hold off until this coronavirus slows down, then we have different avenues. We have floor plans, we have virtual staging, where the consumer can definitely see your home 3D and online. Also, another way to adjust to virtual marketing is to have a strong listing description. That is one of my huge pet peeves. Take advantage. I always tell my clients that the listing description is another avenue in terms to marketing, to showcasing your home. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then it doesn't make any sense to have all the photos, all the videos, and not distribute that multimedia. So we have the photos, we get the listing description, and then from there we blast it off into the virtual world. So let's dig in and talk a little bit about more. Professional photos. These are all standard on my listings. Professional photos are going to be top notch. I personally am not a photographer, so I do not take photos. I hire a professional photographer. Professional photographer comes out and takes amazing photos, nothing amateur. They clean them up, make sure they have good light, and I'll show you a couple. So these are all from listings. And of course, I'm showing you, one of a recent remodeled home, very beautiful. We also do the twilight photos. So I like to be different. As you scroll, looking at properties either through, whichever app you're using, I am always thinking about how is the consumer going to stop? Why are they going to stop? Is it because we broke their pattern and this was a little bit different? So kind of thinking a little bit outside the box to make sure that the consumer stops. Oh, wait, this looks amazing. Let's check it out. And at least it's a focal attention. They stay on your listing a little bit longer. And then, we have a classic home. And this was a real great example of not only taking the photos, but also doing a little bit of staging. We arranged the room to make sure that it looks a little bit more professional, looks more livable. We, again, organized, so it looks very organized here. The bed was actually an inflatable bed. So I'm always resourceful. I'm always thinking of my clients, how could we save money? How could we use what you already have, basically, and tidy up? That's the rule of thumb. Tidy up, clean up, and we'll go in, and my photographer will definitely take amazing photos, as you can see. Making the bed, very important. Getting that catalog look, it's very important there too. Clearing things off the shelves, definitely going to build buyer confidence. Buyers are going to look at this, they're going to stop on your listing. They're going to, they're going to look at it. They're going to stay on that page a little bit longer, and that's what we want. Nowadays, there's so many things being thrown at us on social media that I'm a firm believer everything needs to be top notch so people could stay on your page or your listing. Again, clients did a very, very, very great job. Cleaned up, decluttered, closed the rooms, closed the tables, everything's in order. I mean, it looks, something like a catalog. Very great job. Let's see. Another thing that we do is I do walkthrough videos. So I'm going to mute this so I could talk over. And this is one of the videos that I did. Again, it showcased the home. It allows me to blast this to my clients. And I'm always thinking how to distribute the video. And we'll talk a little bit more about how I do that. But even if a seller is on the fence and just says, hey, with all this coronavirus, we got to rethink a strategy. A walkthrough video is always great. It showcases the home, as you can tell here, and we're not even 41, minutes left or into. We have about 2 more minutes, and this could be replayed over and over. As you can see, you're as if you're there, and this is just another step. So I'm always thinking about how to layer up. Okay. Another thing that I've done in the past too is 3D renderings. So this client was in the pre-construction phase, and this could be done at any type of phase. But right now, for this example, the client, provided me some blueprints. I wanted to market the property as soon as possible. I got with my photographer and we kind of concept of 3D renderings. He now does this service, so that's actually amazing. And basically what it does, it took the floor plan to life. And these photos were, again, used to distributed on social media, sent out to potential buyer clients in this particular location. But as you can see, it goes back to layering up and making sure that the home looks presentable, that you get a visual and you get a feel of how it's going to be like to live there. And the 3D tour was more of a Matterport. Not sure why it didn't upload, but Matterport is something like this, but you're actually walking through each room as if you were there, and that is very important, especially now. Matterport. Another thing that we have done with our clients is virtually stage. Some people like it, some people don't. Like I said, I control the process, my clients control the decision. So in this particular case, it was a rehab home. There was no staging, but my photographer, again, as resourceful as he is, said, hey, let's try virtual staging. We saved the client a lot of money. So that's something that I always talk to my clients, my seller clients, how could I help you save money? That's basically true. How could we help you save money? Because if you save money, I want to help you out. And I'm not sure if you know, but staging, it's very expensive. And for this particular before and then after, we obviously did this during Christmas, but I mean, look at the before and after. And I immediately ran a Facebook ad with the Christmas theme going, and property sold. Within a couple of weeks, we got an offer, negotiated, and the clients actually loved it. They didn't even know it was virtually staged. The buyers loved it and fell in love and ended up purchasing the home. So another way to help out, especially if you have a vacant home and you want to create a little bit more warm appeal to it. And again, we're layering up. Something that I also love is floor plans, simply because not a lot of people are using these, and I hope this trend continues to grow, because when I work with buyers, I always tell them, especially if they're living, in a very comfortable setting, and I always ask, in terms of the bedroom sizes, where are you at now? And kind of measure your furniture, measure especially the bed. Because if you have a king size bed and it barely fits, you're not going to downsize. So I always let them know, measure the bed. Is it a queen? Is it a king? Because I know that new home, you're going to want to make sure that all of that fits. And then this is also paints a good picture. I include the floor plans directly into the MLS for everybody to see, so they could see this on Zillow, Redfin, whichever app you're using. Again, it's quick information, and that's what we want to give the buyer. We want to give them confidence. Keep that in mind. We're giving the buyers confidence. And it goes back to the more confidence and the pricing, the market value pricing. We want to get as much eyeballs to your property. So it's all a match. And as you could see, this property had 3 floors, and then we combined it, making it easy to the buyer, so they could have confidence. That's the key. Another thing in the listing description, this is actually something that I have a huge pet peeve about. Listing description should be descriptive. It should talk about the home. It should talk about updates. I also like to mention any type of transportation, businesses, anything unique. So I like to do a general When I get a listing and get a client, I go onto Google Maps and I start looking, okay, what are point of interest? What type of businesses? What is around? Also, what parks are there? What's available? Let's mention those items. Another thing that I always steer clear is typing in caps, especially listing agreements. I mean, listing descriptions. Anything in caps to me, and to the world, basically in caps, you're yelling at them. So let's stop doing that. And this is a great example. Both are the same listing descriptions. Both are the same size. And I compared that this right here is just a little bit more difficult to read versus the one on the right. Also, if you write all in caps, it takes more space. So essentially, if you write, regular, you could potentially add a little bit more description. So again, to the left, you're yelling at people, and to the right, it's normal. It takes less space, where you could definitely add a little bit more. So when I write my listing description, I'm always thinking about where is it at? What did the seller do? Is it move-in ready? Is there transportation? Is it near hotspots? Is it near forest preserves? Anything that is enticing for the buyer to read. We want to make sure that the buyer reads and has a mental description, a visual in their head when they read the description. And again, none of this is possible without the distribution of the media. So we could take fancy photos, we could, do high def videos, but nothing will work if we're not distributing the information. And one way that I love, and especially, with Zoom and with all that we have in our capability, is Facebook. And Facebook, I leverage it. As you could see, these are sponsored ads, except for this one. This was a post. But after that, I did sponsor it. I do sponsor ads on behalf of my clients, and we want to make sure that we get the property out there. Not only on Facebook, but I leverage Google. I have my database of active buyers. I have hot buyers, warm buyers, not ready yet buyers. So I categorize people. When we have a listing coming up, I make sure that they know about this. And maybe it's not for them at this point, but I'm always asking, who else do you know? Who else do you know that needs a property, that wants to live in this neighborhood? So these are just some examples of distribution of the media. And kind of finalizing a little bit more on the tips to keep you safe, especially during showings. We're starting to do a COVID waiver. So if you want to see a property and we give the option to the seller, again, I control the process and we control the decision. So if the seller says, you know what, we want to take an extra layer of precaution, we want a COVID waiver. So that is sent before any showings are approved. They need to fill out the waiver and send it back to us so we could approve. So it just adds an extra layer of precaution for everyone. Some clients are okay with it. Some clients are not. Some just say, hey, business as usual. But again, you have options when you work with me. One thing too, I'm very firm, only pre-approved buyers. We put that down in the description. If they're not pre-approved, they're, technically window shopping. And at that point, they have all the resources, all the pretty pictures, the videos to kind of formulate how it will be. But we're only asking for pre-approved buyers to enter the home of my listings. And then we ask, have a safety station, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So as I said, there's the waiver. So we do a waiver. The buyer signs, the listing agent signs. You know, this to me, it's just an added layer of protection. You know, if you do have symptoms, then you reading this, then, you know, you might think, hey, I better not go. And then in the confidential area for other agents, we also let them know that we're going to be sending out an additional disclosure, and to keep a lookout to send it back to us so we can review with our client. And again, only pre-approved buyers. There's no sense of coming in to the home, especially, you know, during coronavirus. If you're not pre-approved, you know, you're technically, you know, window shopping, and you can do all the window shopping on the apps. Like I said, a lot of my listings have walkthrough videos, have 3D videos, so that should be sufficient for pre-approved, for non-pre-approved buyers. But if you are pre-approved, we're definitely going to ask that you submit not only the waiver, but also the pre-approved letter. And again, it adds confidence to my sellers. And then we create a safety station. We provide gloves, provide booties, shoe covers, gloves again, you know, very important. But we also tell clients to, you know, turn on all the lights, open the doors, open the closet doors, so no one else has to, especially touching doorknobs. If, you know, open up cabinets, we try to tell them, oh no, just in the common areas. Open up doors, make sure those are accessible. So you do have options. And again, 3 main takeaways were to attract buyers and how to get offers now. So pricing, again, I got to go back to pricing is very important. Pricing it is that you're going to be your best marketing. I think number 2 is definitely condition. You want to make sure that it's in the best condition possible, either cleanliness, deep cleaning, or depersonalizing. And then know how to adjust to virtual marketing. As you saw in this presentation, we're giving you a lot of options. And I think that the more of the options, the more layers we have to give confidence not only to the sellers, but also to the buyers. And again, best practices on tips and how to keep your home safe, not only for yourself, but for people coming into your home, and of course the agents. And again, very short and sweet presentation. I really thank everybody for coming in and participating. So if there's any questions whatsoever, please feel free to let me know if you have any questions. So if you are interested in learning a little bit more about my services, how I help out clients, this is just, you know, basically the tip of the iceberg. I can definitely provide a little bit more in-depth information. I have a seller's packet, timelines. That's one of something that I hear a lot is how long is it going to take? You know, I want to move by August, and we kind of formulate a plan. Not only that type of plan, but also a marketing plan, and then knowing the next steps. Give me a call, send me a text, go to my website, and thank you very much. This was my first webinar, so I hope I did well. And let's see, thank you. Are all realtors using the COVID waiver? No, not all realtors are using it. I did see one realtor that used it. We kind of talked, and he shared a little bit of information with me. So definitely props to that realtor that that sent me some information and how to formulate it. From there, I sent it to my attorney, where he kind of added a little bit more language. And the waiver, again, it's an extra layer of protection. And I'm a firm believer with layers and layers, as you saw, layers with marketing, layers with paperwork. Unfortunately, it adds a little bit more layers of paperwork, but we're here to build confidence. And if you do get a waiver and it says, have you been coughing? Have you had any symptoms? And it'll make you think twice, especially if maybe you had a high fever or so. So no, not all realtors. I think it's a very small few, but hopefully we answered that question right there. But I really appreciate everyone's time. This is definitely going to be recorded. We're going to send that out. Is some of the paperwork being done online now? Yes. A lot of the paperwork and everything that I do, I run my business very virtual. I run my business exactly how you're looking at it right now with Zoom calls. A lot of my clients, have busy schedules. I love to do face-to-face, trust me. I think face-to-face is number one. You get to see that person, get the vibe with that person. But in the state that we're in and the tools that we have, I think virtual is very important. And going back to the question, is some of the paperwork being done online now? Yeah, I leverage DocuSign. So DocuSign is electronic signatures. If a client says, hey, Gerardo, actually, this morning, I got a call. Client said, Gerardo, I want you to get my listing up, send me the paperwork, and we're going to be doing this via DocuSign. And let's see, are banks doing closings online? Well, the banks are not the ones that do the closings. It's actually the title company, and the title company is kind of like the middle person. And it's a safe zone where a transaction is done. So the title companies are performing what are called curbside closings. I was in one of them a couple of weeks ago, and it was kind of weird. It was basically kind of like a drive-through closing. Clients sat in their car, I sat in my car, and the title people came out, masks, full mask, gloves, and it was actually pretty cool, So we have to adjust. It goes back to the first slide in terms to a change. How it was done before, it's before. Now it's a little bit different, but yeah, definitely curbside closings. And again, it goes back to choices. There are curbside closings where you park in the lot, title company representatives come out, sign this, sign that, the attorney comes out, sign this, sign that, explains to you the process. I think it takes a little bit longer because it's a stack full of papers, but in the end, I mean, I would rather take more time than to make this closing happen than to put myself or my clients at risk. And then I had another closing where only the attorney and the client are available. I go to all my closings. I love going to closing. It's time to celebration. But at this point, all agents cannot attend closing just because of the state that we're in. So hopefully that answered that question. Yes, curbside closing is a thing. Any other questions, feel free to ask. If not, thank you. This recording is going to go onto my website, gerardozavalarealtor.com, and specifically for the blog post, it's going to be gerardozavalarealtor.com/selling a home during coronavirus. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and we'll talk soon unless there's one more. Oh, thank you. Hey, if it was very informative, that is the goal. I am a resource of information. There's no sense of just keeping that information to myself. I love to share. And if there's anything that I could do for you, feel free to call. Appreciate it. Thank you. Virtual world. Stay safe, stay positive, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.